this presentation, and good luck to you on your first budget presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. Good evening to everyone here in person and to those joining us on Durham Television Network or online. I am honored to present my first proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 as your new city manager. So each fall, we begin building our budget, and on the surface, it may seem like a fairly routine process to folks. We project revenues, we calculate expenses, and we make them balance. But this year, as council knows, was far from routine. Durham County recently completed a full property revaluation, and that created a moment for us to pause and take a fresh look, not just at our numbers, but at how our city is structured to deliver the services that our community expects. This proposed budget reflects that fresh look. It's shaped by what we heard from you, our residents, our employees, and our city council through retreats, surveys, and conversations. It's also guided by our strategic plan, which reflects what Durham residents told us matters most. It's not just a document, it's our shared roadmap. It helps us align our priorities, our actions, and our investments with your values. We've approached this moment with care and discipline, making sure our decisions are fair, strategic, and focused on what Durham needs now and in the years ahead. Tonight, I'll walk you through the numbers, and more importantly, what those numbers mean for our neighborhoods, our services, and our shared future. But first, I want to thank Mayor Leonardo Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Mark Anthony Middleton, and council members Nate Baker, Javier Caballero, Chelsea Cook, Deidreana Freeman, and Carl Rist. Your leadership and guidance have helped shape this budget that reflects the needs and voices of all of Durham's residents. Earlier this year, council and staff spent time in 2 day-long retreats discussing the complex challenges ahead. We listened closely, and this proposed budget responds directly to what we heard at those retreats. Starting July 1, we're also making changes to how our government is structured, bringing together teams that already work closely so we can solve problems more efficiently and effectively. And by the end of tonight's presentation, I hope you'll see that this budget not only reflects Durham's values, but prepares us for a stronger, more resilient future. So let's begin with the numbers. It's no surprise to anyone here to hear that Durham continues to grow, and with that growth comes greater demand for city services. We've heard loud and clear from our residents you want continued investments in public safety, in equitable infrastructure, and quality of life. Our proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget is $722 million, up from a little more than $668 million last year, an increase of about $54 million, or 8%. This includes the city's general fund and other funds that I'll highlight throughout this presentation. Durham's economy remains strong, and property values are up 71.6% following the county's revaluation, generating an estimated $47 million in additional property tax revenue. At the same time, we're seeing pressure on other revenue sources. Last year, the growth in sales tax slowed, and that downward trend looks to continue. Occupancy tax revenue, which are funds generated from fees on hotel stays and short-term rentals, is also projected to decrease by 33% due to changes in state law. So while growth helps, it's not enough to fully cover rising costs driven by inflation, decreased revenue from sales and occupancy taxes and other state shared revenues, new debt service from the $200 million bond that voters approved in November, and growing service demands. So that all brings us to an important subject in tonight's presentation. Let's discuss revaluation, the concept of revenue neutral, and next year's proposed property tax rate. Every residential and commercial property was reassessed to reflect its current market value, what it would likely sell for today if it were on the market. This process, required by state law, helps ensure fairness. Also required by tax law, local governments must calculate and publish a revenue-neutral tax rate, what the tax rate would be reduced to for the city to collect the same amount of property tax revenue as we received last year. Last year's approved property tax rate was 59.62 cents. We calculate the revenue neutral rate for this year to be 38.23 cents. Tonight, I am proposing a budget that reduces the property tax rate by 15.91 cents for a new property tax rate of 43.71 cents per $100 of assessed value. This proposal is 5.48 cents above the revenue neutral tax rate. So what does that mean for a typical homeowner in Durham? For a median valued home in our city, valued at $415,000, this would result in a city property tax bill of about $1,814 next year. This rate allows us to invest in the services and the infrastructure that our community has asked for. And in November, our voters overwhelmingly approved a $200 million bond program for better streets, sidewalks, and parks. So about 2 pennies of the tax rate in this proposed budget will support the debt payments for those bond projects that our voters approved. Additional revenue from the proposed tax rate increase will support sustaining and improving core services like trash collection, public safety, and infrastructure, offering competitive pay to recruit and retain our talented staff who deliver those services every day, advancing our commitment to community safety, including expanded crisis response, maintaining service levels, even as inflation drives up the cost of everything from equipment to materials to fuel. The proposed general fund budget is $326.5 million, a 6.6% increase over last year. We're also proposing a modest increase in water and sewer rates approved by City Council earlier this month. This includes an average monthly increase of $6.33, or about 8.5% starting July 1. This is necessary to cover rising operational costs, ongoing major infrastructure, and debt service. Durham's water remains some of the most affordable in the Triangle, and these investments are designed to keep it that way for years to come. There are no proposed changes to stormwater or parking rates this year. The monthly stormwater rate will remain at $5.70 for the average residential customer. Employee pay and benefits have increased the general fund by $16.3 billion, reflecting our commitment to a strong, supported workforce. Last year's market pay study has been fully implemented, and this year's budget will continue to fund the program fully. Operating expenses supported by the general fund have also increased by $8 million. Thanks to sound financial management, the city maintains a healthy fund balance. We are proposing to use $5.3 million in a transfer for one-time needs, including $1 million to conduct this year's municipal election. I am proud to report that the city continues to hold a AAA bond rating from all 3 major agencies, Moody's, S&P, and Fitch. That means we can borrow for big projects at lower interest rates, saving taxpayer dollars. The recently approved bond program will benefit greatly from our AAA bond rating. This proposed budget is grounded in our strategic plan, shaped by inputs from our residents, employees, and elected officials. This year, 4 major priorities drove our decisions: community safety, employee support, service delivery, and infrastructure. These are the building blocks of a stronger Durham, and this budget invests in each of them. Creating and promoting strategies that ensure all residents share in Durham's prosperity remains one of our highest priorities as a city. Our community safety department, especially our nationally recognized HEART program, continues to redefine how we respond to nonviolent 911 calls for service with care and compassion. Over the past year, HART expanded citywide and now operates 7 days a week. I am proposing another expansion of HART this year, and the Community Safety Department's scope is growing to include homeless services and assistance to justice-involved residents. To grow the HART program and support their expanded mission, this proposed budget funds a total of 17 new positions, including 9 additional crisis responders, as well as crisis clinicians, street outreach workers, and administrative staff to support the growing department. We have all heard the community's strong support for 24/7 HART services, but this budget proposal responds to an important fact. There are significantly more HART-eligible calls that we currently don't respond to during daylight hours than during calls that we miss in overnight hours. Therefore, prioritizing new capacity for HART during daylight hours captures the greatest number of calls that HART currently misses. While I believe HART will be a 24/7 operation in the not-too-distant future, I am recommending in this budget a daytime expansion of HART first as the most urgent and efficient need for new resources in the department. To further support community safety and help ensure housing stability, this budget also includes $725,000 to continue the eviction diversion program, which helps low-income renters remain in their homes. Continued funding for the Durham Expunction and Restoration, or DEAR program, which helps residents clear eligible charges and restore suspended driver's licenses, expanding access to housing, employment, and opportunities. Our work plan this year also includes the creation of a new community-wide homeless prevention strategy in collaboration with Durham County and our community partners. This plan will guide our future efforts to address homelessness in Durham and serve the growing unhoused population. We're also entering the final year of Forever Home Durham, our current affordable housing investment plan. Since voters said yes in 2019, we've had some major achievements. However, we've also faced significant challenges from a global pandemic to rising housing costs, but our focus throughout has remained on housing stability. These challenges only underscore how critical this work is. Forever Home Durham has been more than a response, it's been a catalyst, adding more affordable housing in the pipeline, providing a path to home ownership, attracting new housing investment from our partners, and expanding contracting opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses. Affordable housing isn't a short-term project, it's a long-term priority. Residents can rest assured that we will continue delivering on our promises as we begin shaping the next phase of our housing strategy. This fiscal year, construction was completed for Bryan Place Apartments and Ashton Place Apartments rental housing projects, resulting in 67 new affordable rental units being created. Through a partnership with Durham County government, approximately $27 million in ARPA funding is being used to create and preserve affordable housing. This funding supports 7 affordable housing projects shown on the screen in front of you. In FY26, we look forward to completing construction of the Vanguard, Cedar Trace Apartments, and Hardy Street apartment projects, resulting in the creation of 384 new affordable rental units. We also anticipate entering into development agreements for the Tribute Rising, Fayette Place, and Durham Tech projects. Let's talk about employees. We simply couldn't deliver city services without the dedication and hard work of our employees, whether they are putting out fires, ensuring clean and safe drinking water, collecting trash and recycling, or responding to neighbors in crisis through our HART program. That's why supporting our workforce with fair pay and strong benefits remains a top priority. This proposed budget fulfills the commitment we made last year to keep employee compensation aligned with current market rates. At the same time, we're seeing rising costs in healthcare and other benefits. While we're working hard to manage those costs responsibly, employees will see some increases in out-of-pocket expenses this year. To stay competitive in today's job market, this budget includes a modest market-based pay adjustment of 1.45%, in addition to our existing pay for performance increases ranging from 4 to 6% for most employees. The city's investment in market-based pay is paying dividends. The turnover rate of city employees is starting to trend downward, and our vacancy rate is beginning to decrease since the implementation of our new pay plan. Importantly, this budget also raises Durham's minimum livable wage from $19.58 to $21.90 per hour effective July 1 for full-time employees. That is equal to an annual salary of approximately $45,560. This is almost double any increase that our minimum livable wage has experienced in the last 6 years and reflects a significant investment in living wages for city employees. Because employee pay and benefits make up much of our operating budget, we evaluate new position requests carefully each year. This year's proposal includes 42 new positions across multiple departments, shown here on the screen. These positions are funded from multiple sources that include tax revenue and a variety of user fees. This year's proposed budget makes major investments in the infrastructure that keeps our community safe, healthy, and running, both above and below ground. And while we implement organizational changes to improve city services, we're also making investments behind the scenes to support these changes. This year's budget will lay the groundwork for future improvements in the newly created Environmental and Street Services Department by funding $300,000 in planning and renovations to their administration building. This facility supports the staff and operations behind our daily solid waste and recycling collections. In stormwater, we're investing $25.7 million to improve drainage and water quality. This includes ongoing work on the South Ellerby Restoration Project, which plays a key role in protecting Falls Lake. We're also replacing aging infrastructure and tackling stormwater challenges, especially in areas that face frequent flooding or runoff issues. Our largest infrastructure investment, $315.7 million, will go towards strengthening Durham's water and sewer systems. Highlights of this work include continued work on the Jordan Lake Water Treatment Plant, our most significant capital project, designed to meet Durham's very long-term water needs. It also includes major upgrades to water and sewer lines, treatment plants, and pump stations, which are the backbone of our drinking water and wastewater systems. These projects may not always be visible, but they're vital. They reflect our commitment to keeping Durham healthy, sustainable, and prepared for the future. We're also focused on improving transit access and reliability. Continuing fare-free Go Durham bus service remains a priority in this proposed budget, ensuring riders can get where they need to go at no cost. To support our growing transit system, the budget adds 3 new positions for bus rapid transit planning, and we've included $17.2 million of funding from the Durham County Transit Plan to support upcoming service expansions. Let's move now to another top priority, strategic infrastructure investments through our Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP. This year's proposed CIP includes approximately $537.6 million to launch new projects and complete existing ones, more than 70 projects total. While there's too much to cover in a single slide, here are just a few of the highlights on your screen. We're also prioritizing street safety and mobility. Following the recent adoption of our Vision Zero plan, this budget supports safer streets for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers alike. In this budget, parks remain a top priority. We've allocated $7 million this year. That brings us to a $12 million total to address lead and soil contamination at 5 city parks: East Durham, East End, Lyon, Northgate, and Walltown. We are anxious to reopen these parks to the communities they serve and are working closely with our partners in state government to identify safe and effective strategies to do so as quickly as possible. Because we are proposing not to reduce our half-penny parks tax rate to its revenue-neutral equivalent, we plan to invest in the quality upkeep of our parks by adding 6 new maintenance staff and funding $394,000 in additional projects. Some highlights from this year's new park projects, which are supported by CIP funding, include what's shown on your screen. As we've been discussing the recently approved bond, we've developed a new way to identify these projects as they're happening in our community with a new name and logo, Connect Durham. We want to make sure that our residents know that we are fulfilling our commitment to improving our streets, sidewalks, and parks. We look forward to our residents seeing this logo on projects throughout our community. In November, we received permission to invest $85 million to build and upgrade 3 parks. Just a few minutes ago on this agenda, the City Council approved a contract to begin planning and construction on the new $43 million aquatic center at Merrickmore Park. This new public facility will include multiple pools, zero-depth entry, a lazy river, and spaces for all ages, located right next to our new Wheels roller rink, transforming Merrickmore Park into a vibrant community hub. Another major bond project moving forward is a $42 million investment to unite Longmeadow and East End parks along Alston Avenue. This park corridor will be linked by the R. Kelly Bryant Bridge Trail with new playgrounds, courts, fields, and community-designed features. A construction contract for this significant project will come before City Council later this summer. Residents have continued to tell us in our resident satisfaction survey that streets and sidewalks are a top priority, and this budget responds to that feedback. Thanks to the $115 million Streets and Sidewalks bond, we're expanding our annual pavement management and sidewalk repair programs to the new funding levels shown on your screen. In last year's budget, we were only able to fund street repaving at $15 million and sidewalk repairs at $2 million. Thanks to bond funding, we were able to increase the proposed funding levels to these new higher rates. Over the life of the Streets and Sidewalks bond, this increased funding will allow us to build 12 miles of new sidewalks, repair 20 miles of existing sidewalks, pave 13 miles of unpaved streets, and accelerate maintenance of 770 miles of city streets. Here's the full bond allocation on your screen for all those efforts. We're also proud to continue our Equitable and Green Infrastructure Program that we call EGI, with nearly $6 million dedicated to neighborhood-focused improvements that also help our environment, especially where needs and safety concerns are greatest. Here on this slide are the projects that we've planned for EGI in the coming cycle. And finally, $18 million is included in this budget for fleet replacements, the vehicles and equipment our staff rely on every day to deliver essential services and carry out this ambitious work. Now that I've shared highlights from the proposed budget, it's time for our elected leadership and our community to take a closer look. City Council and the staff will review the details of this budget during budget work sessions on May 28th and 29th at 9 a.m. in the committee room on the second floor of City Hall. We invite everyone to either attend those meetings or tune in via our YouTube live stream of these meetings. We also welcome public input at our budget public hearing on June 2nd during the regular City Council meeting at 7 p.m. That's 2 weeks from tonight. The full proposed budget is available now for people to review at durhamnc.gov/budget. This is a pivotal moment as we take a fresh look at how we invest public dollars and organize city government. We're focused on being fair, strategic, and responsive. This proposed budget is designed to align our structures and resources with the priorities that matter most to the people of Durham. Those priorities are reflected in our strategic plan, a plan that is shaped by the voices of our residents, and this budget is a direct response to that community-driven vision and the public input we've received to ensure that our work stays grounded in what Durham values most. Every dollar in this proposal has an important purpose. It reflects our focus on community safety, where we're expanding crisis response and maintaining critical staffing for police, fire, and 911. It focuses on employee support, providing competitive pay and benefits to attract and retain a talented workforce. It funds important service delivery, investing in growing needs like solid waste and water services. And it builds infrastructure, paving streets, repairing sidewalks, building new facilities, and strengthening long-term city assets. You can learn more about this proposed budget and all our work by visiting durhamnc.gov, following us on social media, watching our videos, listening to our podcasts, and subscribing to our newsletters. We're committing to keeping the public informed and engaged throughout this process. Finally, on behalf of our entire administration, I want to thank the Mayor and City Council for your continued leadership and your thoughtful guidance. I also want to thank the staff who worked very hard to prepare this budget and all of the departments who contributed their input and expertise in helping us bring this proposal to you tonight. Council, we look forward to working with you and with the Durham community to finalize a budget that reflects our shared values, that moves Durham forward, and strengthens the city we all call home. Thank you very much.
Well. Thank you very much. Mr. Manager.
Sir. Thank you.
Well done. Sounds like a little bit of everything. Colleagues, before we move on, I'd love to provide a moment of comment. Councilmember Cook. Any comments, colleagues? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Manager Ferguson's first proposed budget, it's a lot of work to get here. I look forward to our work sessions, and I know that maybe we didn't get every single thing we wanted, but it's pretty damn close. Thank you.
All right. Dito, what she just said, it will not make everybody happy. It won't make everybody sad, but considering all of the competing interests and the priorities that we do not have a choice but to address, I think we have work to do, colleagues, but thank you for getting us as close as you could. This is not easy. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and colleagues. I just want to add my congratulations to the manager on his first budget. While we have work to do, it's certainly still celebratory tonight, even though we still have to get into some details. 700 some, we've crossed the $700 million threshold for city budget, which is huge. We are continuing to grow. Durham continues to be a city of choice, great American city that many folk are seeking to live in. With that comes, as we say in my community, high-class problems. We got problems, but they're high-class problems. They're problems that are because we're hot, because folk want to be here, because folk want to live here. That's different than some of the other kind of problems that some of our fellow cities are dealing with across the nation. That's certainly not to say we're exempt from those problems, but we've got a lot of high-class issues here in Durham, and I'm excited about the opportunity to delve into this budget with my colleagues. We are a deliberative body, and so we will deliberate. But I think this is a wonderful, wonderful starting point and a wonderful on-ramp for the discussion. The numbers are strong. Our city is strong. And Mr. Manager, I think this proposed budget tonight confirms the decision to put you in that chair. So thank you. And congratulations on your first one.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, just real quick, yeah, I want to echo my colleagues. I want to thank the city manager for your first budget. I thought this is an aggressive, thoughtful, strategic document. As Councilmember Caballero said, in any kind of budget negotiation, large negotiation like this, no one gets everything they want. I think there's a lot to like here. Again, I think you have balanced the need to like, we want to be efficient in how we do government. I think we want to ideally provide the greatest amount of services at the lowest cost for taxpayers, and I think you've sort of balanced that very well. So thank you so much. I look forward to our continued discussions, but thank you for listening to the council, to the community, to staff, and putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Ferguson. This is definitely one of many budgets that I've sat on, and I just want to say that my main focus in a reappraisal year is always the tax rate and really trying to figure out how to navigate. And so I do want to just say, I know this is an open process and folks will pour in a lot of input. I do want to make sure that folks also pour in input on where things could be slimmed down. And just don't forget, I know there's all those asks, but point out some areas you think might be helpful to slim down in. I think that's a big help. Just knowing like we're 7 people, we make the decision for the entire city based on the feedback we get, the things we know we feel, or the things we know we were elected to support. And I'm very critical this year of what it looks like for people in our community to see their tax bills. We know what it looks like at the federal level. We know that these cuts are going to be harsh for seniors and families with young children and people with disabilities. And I just want to be really careful about how we come at making additional requests, because I know this is the season for those additional requests that folks want to throw in. And I just want to say that this is 1 year. This is 1 year. We made a lot of commitments over the last few years, and I want to make sure that our employees are at the top of that list and making sure that we continue to support them. I really appreciate the first pass. It does give us a lot to work with. I do think that some might be upset, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
Mr. Baker.
There's still a lot of work and a lot of conversations for us to have, but I also want to add my voice to say congratulations to the city manager for proposing your first budget. A lot in here, a lot to work with, a lot of challenges. Cities across the United States facing deficits, pretty severe deficits in some places, having to cut services. So I just want to pull out one item that I am extremely excited about, which is fare free transit. We've seen Go Triangle reinstitute fares. We've seen Raleigh reinstitute fares. And for Durham and for a city of our size to show the value that we place on fare free transit is so incredibly important. It ticks the boxes of so many different priorities for us when it comes to equity, when it comes to sustainability, and also it just makes things run better. Buses run better. There are fewer conflicts on buses. They have to spend less time at each bus stop when they're moving, and it's expensive to institute fares as well. So we get to forego that cost, at least for this next fiscal year and hopefully into the future. So I want to say that I'm extremely excited about that and look forward to the ongoing conversation that we're going to be having up here.
Good. Okay. Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you. I just wanted to, Councilmember Freeman's comments, I wanted to remind folks that both the city and the county, if you are a homeowner anywhere in the county, a city resident or not, there is an income tax relief program. If you go to the county's website, you can find property tax support. It is an annual grant. We cannot do it automatically. We are not allowed to by the state. But if you have lived in your home for longer than 5 years, and you are at the 80% area median income or less, you can qualify. And if you are a senior, I think at the 30% AMI level or less, I think it's almost 100% coverage of your property taxes. So this is a commitment that both the city and the county have made for a number of years. We've never actually used the full amount in that fund, which means that please apply. It's why we do it. We're one of the only programs in North Carolina, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the only ones in the Southeast. So again, you can find that information on the county's website. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
I was also going to say thank you, Councilmember Caballero, and I would like to just kind of send a nod to former Mayor Schul in pioneering that push to make sure it was city and county together. And just also just note that there's a appeals process right now. I want to make sure that folks are aware of as well. Thank you for pointing that out. And I think you have until about mid-June if your property value, because your value is what your focus is, it's not the tax. You're focused on your value and making sure that the value is correct. And so if you've got an easement or you've got, no improvements, like those are things that matter in this tax cycle, in the reevaluation. And so making sure that homeowners, property owners are paying attention to what their value has been assessed at. You have until about, I think it's June 15th or so. Don't quote me on that, but in mid-June to submit your appeal to the county tax office. And that is all through the county tax office. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. Again, Mr. Manager, congratulations. Like I said, not everybody will be happy, not everybody will be sad. I know I did not get a lot of things I requested, and I just will continue to work toward trying to make those things happen. But I won't tear down City Hall for it, and I hope that the public will have grace as we continue to deliberate this. But at this point, Council, it is in our hands, and you've done your part. Thank you. Thank you. We will have a few other occasions to deliberate. I believe May 28th and 29th. We will have work sessions on this. And June 2nd, we'll have, the public hearing, and then we'll move to adopt shortly after. I do want to say this as we're moving into the budget deliberations amongst council and to council. If you're passionate about something, yes, show up and speak on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that everything that you specifically as an individual will request for will be guaranteed in the budget at the full request, if at all. And that goes for individuals as well as groups. It doesn't mean that you don't show up. It doesn't mean you don't engage. It doesn't mean you don't organize. But I just want us to be functioning in reality. And I'll give you a prime example. You saw the main things that we have to really invest in, and we don't even have a choice. We got to make sure we have streets to drive on and all the other things. Everybody knows I'm passionate about gun violence and young black boys killing each other. You don't see that as a main priority here. So I'm going to make sure that we find a way to do that as a collective in this community. And I hope that the energy that we galvanize together and come as groups and organizing bodies, that we'll find a way to get, really creative around how to support even other things that may not show up in a city budget, but are just as important. So just keep that in mind as we're getting ready to do what Durham does and organize and expect that, because you put a bunch of logos on a piece of paper, that you're going to get everything you want. So anyway, let's get one more comment from Councilmember Caballero.
To be brief, I just wanted to also shout out Christina and her staff. Y'all do an incredible job every year. That's all.
Yeah, I'm saying these comments so we won't give you too many gray hairs over there. All right, thank you all so much.